Weekly Shonen Jump is an ever-changing manga magazine with plenty of manga coming and going throughout each year. Sometimes it's a big series ending, other times it's a newer one getting axed. But with each series that leaves, a new one enters and changes the face of Jump, for a time at least. This system of constant change makes the magazine really fun to follow. What series is going to end next? What kind of new manga will we see in the next batch? These kinds of questions are constantly asked by Jump fans because we love to engage in speculation. So today I'm here to do that on a larger scale and ask the question, what will Shonen Jump look like 1 year from now? What series do I think will end? How will they potentially end? And what kind of arcs might we see from these series in the interim? This will just be for fun speculation. If you have different ideas or disagree, let me know. I'd love to know what you think about Jump and what it would be like in a year's time. So much is unpredictable too, since if I made this video a few months ago, I would have included Black Clover, which now has moved magazines, something I didn't expect. But this will be fun to look back to in a year's time regardless. So let's get straight into it with One Piece, the flagship title of Shonen Jump and by far the longest running series right now. Even though it's in its final saga, I don't think One Piece will come to an end next year, not even close. There's still far too much to do in the story. We'll likely see the Egghead Future Island arc conclude within the next year or the next few months, and then we'll finally get to Elbaf. I can see that arc being a bit longer, at least the same size as Egghead, as it's been built up throughout the story. Plus, we might see Shanks or the Blackbeard pirates there, and there'll probably be a massive battle, which will be occurring this time next year, I think. Next up we have the perpetually ending My Hero Academia, which I thought last year would be over by now already. I underestimated how many side characters needed to be touched on though, so we're still going. But from what I remember, I think we've pretty much covered every side character now. Uraraka and Toga are done, Todoroki's family had its time to shine, as well as a handful of other side characters from Class A and elsewhere. Even Stain appeared again recently, so gradually Horikoshi has been ticking off every box. For the most part, we'll just see Deku fighting Shigaraki and All for One. The major thing preventing it from ending next year though is Horikoshi's schedule, as he needs breaks every few weeks, but even with those I think he usually gets out 25 to 30ish chapters a year, which I think is plenty enough to end the series and do a little epilogue, where we'll probably see all the characters graduating and Deku passing on One for All, which is something I hope we see next year so Horikoshi can get some well-earned rest. Jujutsu Kaisen is in a similar boat to My Hero, slated to be near the end of its run and having a mangaka who needs to take plenty of breaks. I don't think it's quite in its final battle stage though, and I can see it going on a bit longer, but it's hard to say. Someone who's more into JJK could probably give a more accurate prediction of where the story is heading currently. I think there's more to the story, and I don't think this is Sukuna's final battleground, and I can see the rest of the cast getting stronger before they face him again. I also feel like we need to see more of characters like Nobara who might return. At least I don't think she's dead, but we'll see. We then reach the fourth oldest series in the magazine, which is Mission Yozakura Family, something that feels wrong to say as I remember reading the first chapter as it came out. Yozakura is in an interesting place right now though, and we only need to finish this Shinzo marriage arc and get the twin stamps and maybe have a bit of slice of life, and then we'll be in the final arc where the family will fight Asa and cover the whole truth about the family and complete the titular Mission Yozakura Family, with maybe a few nice slice of life chapters as an epilogue. This all could be done in about 30 chapters or take longer and be a more substantial arc and go past next year. There's also the prospect that it just continues with the slice of life stuff for a while, or maybe does something interesting and goes through an entire new generation of Yozakuras. As cool as that might be though, I think it will end shortly after the family beat Asa, so Gondaro can have a break and hopefully come back with a new series. For fun, we'll say it'll end late next year around chapter 240, just before this 1 year mark. We then come to one of my favorites, Undead Unluck, where I'm awaiting a surge in popularity due to the anime. Perhaps a bit late though, as Undead Unluck is definitely in its final stages. The reunion arc we're going through is a long one with a lot left to do. Rip's arc will likely take a few more chapters, and then we'll have a few other main cast members to grab like Top, Juiz, and Tatiana. We could also have a short 1 or 2 chapter thing with Baby Ishin turning back to the age we know them from the previous loop too. We also have Bunny, Sadako, and Engine from the underside to grab as well, which may or may not take long. And then we have Andy and Fuko's reunion, which could be a whole arc in itself. And after that we fight God and whatever minions they have to throw at our crew. There's also other little bits like Victor coming back, so similarly like Yozakura, it could speedrun all this, but with the anime coming, I think the boost in sales and popularity will give Tozuka a bit more time if they want, so I think come next year we'll probably still be in the final fight. We're close to its end. Unless they want to do something crazy like do a 3rd loop, but I think that would genuinely be insane. There isn't much to say about me and Roboco other than it'll probably still be around until the end of time, like it's always been. Since the beginning, for all of us, Roboco has always been there to wrap us up in her sweet embrace. From the moment we're born to the moment we die. Roboco is life. Roboco is death. Yeah, it's Jump's current main gag manga, so it'll probably stay around for a long time, at least until we get a new editor-in-chief. Sakamoto Days is a manga I can't believe is close to the 150 mark. It doesn't feel that old to me yet, but it is steadily chugging along with no real signs of stopping. We've gotten closer to who the main villains are seemingly, but I think there's a lot more to Uzuki after the recent arc trying to track him down. Plus, the Order don't seem to be as friendly as they make themselves out to be. This could lead to some throwaway battle between Sakamoto, the Order, and Uzuki. Perhaps there'll even be a bigger threat revealed after that, but I think this will take more than 1 year to wrap up the entire story. Even if this arc is complete, we could see more assassins from other parts of the world and keep escalating the story. Sakamoto hasn't even fought in a space station yet, and you know that would be sick to see. I guarantee Yuta Suzuki has at least thought of that prospect. By this time next year, I think we'll be embroiled in a series of fights between the 3 organizations as they fight for the fate of the Japanese assassin world. The Elusive Samurai isn't a manga I'm well versed in, with my mind kind of shutting down while I read it, but it is steeped in real historical events, of course not following them to a T though. Currently, the year in the manga is 1337, with I think the real and fictional Tokiyuki fighting under various members of the Southern Court like Akie at the time. Apparently Tokiyuki would also participate in the 1352 recapture of Kamakura, but would be executed a year later. I also can see it taking liberties with history as it's done already, with Tokiyuki escaping his execution. It would be very on brand for him. I unfortunately have no idea what the manga will be like in a year's time though, but I think it'll still be serializing, perhaps in a larger arc like the Siege of Kamakura or something like that. Elusive Samurai fans, please do enlighten me and everyone else in the comments if you'd like. Witch Watch is a series I'd love to see continue indefinitely, and it might last a while depending on who you ask. Some people think it's close to ending, though with this arc being its last. Something I really disagree with, as that would be incredibly anticlimactic. I think there's room for many more gag and slice of life chapters, plus we need to build up the final big bad or an evil group of warlocks. There's also a ton of romance left too, with Niku and Moi, with a lot of potential for silly gags between them or romantic chapters, something I can't see Shinohara not taking advantage of. I want to be generous and say Witch Watch will still stay in the magazine at least for another year, with it building up to its final arc throughout 2024, and maybe even starting it but not finishing it by the time we reach the 1 year mark. Blue Box has gotten quite far in Taichi and Chinatsu's relationship now, and it'll be interesting to see how far it goes overall. We'll probably see a proper kiss as well as more dates, I think, as both of them go through various sports competitions. It'll be cool to see if they deal with Chinatsu graduating before Taichi as well. The real question I want answered though is, will the series end while they're still in school, or will they go beyond and see them grow up a bit? Something I'd love to see, but isn't likely, as not many romance series do this from my understanding. I think Blue Box might run out of steam by the end of next year, maybe ending at about the 140-150 mark at graduation, with them kissing and both winning their respective tournaments or something like that. Akane-banashi is here to stay, I think, with a ton of characters set up and a whole world of Rakugo to explore. It's hard to believe it's almost at 80 chapters already. Rakugo is a subject I'm not familiar on, but there's a lot of ranks to go through, many of which take up a lot of time. So I'm not sure we'll see Akane reach the very top, but we'll probably see her reach Futatsume at least, or have an ending where there'll be a more personal victory, something to do with her dad hopefully. I think Akane-banashi will stick with the magazine for a long time, and reach similar heights to something like Bakuman or Hikaru no Go, maybe reaching around the 150-200 chapter mark, so it should last the entirety of next year. The Ichinose Family's Deadly Sins is an impossible predict series, other than predicting that they're still in a dream, inside 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 a... Even though it could loop indefinitely, we've delved considerably into each character now, and I think it's time for the dream to end, with it potentially finishing this year even, as I think with just a couple of chapters, Taizan 5 could end it in some weird but satisfying way. Even if it does continue past this year, I don't think it'll reach spring, as it doesn't seem to be a series that's planned to be super long. Cipher Academy is just about to enter its next big arc, the Digital Cipher Academy arc, something I can see taking most of this year to finish. It's hard to say how much is left overall, as the main goal of Iroha is to end all wars, which could be as simple as acquiring the 5 billion morgue or something more abstract. This might be the toughest manga to predict currently. I think it'll probably be over by this time next year though, with a solid 80 to 90 chapters under its belt and a couple more arcs covered. It just doesn't feel like a really long running series to me. Kill Blue is one of our new successful rookies that looks like it's here to stay for a while, but will it be like the author's previous manga Robot X Laserbeam, where it got axed around 62 chapters, having an alright beginning but gradually falling off in popularity? I think Kill Blue has a bit more sway to it though, potentially, with its subject matter being less niche than golf. By this time next year, I think we'll be in a much bigger arc with some more threatening villains and assassins, with us seeing a sprinkle of slice of life chapters throughout 2024. Nue's Exorcist is a series I think should be gone already, and I don't particularly care for it, but it seems like it might be here to stay unfortunately, with I think its first volume getting a fairly large quantity of pre-orders. At this rate, it'll still be here next year and might start taking itself seriously by introducing the world and its factions properly, or maybe it'll just slip into the weird softcore ecchi territory it's going for. The less I talk about this one, the better I'll feel, so we're gonna quickly move on. Martial Master Asumi is another manga we don't have any sales data on. It fills an interesting niche though of being a sports martial arts series, but we haven't really had a hit for a while in that genre, and as good as I think it is, I'm not sure it'll survive a full year. It really depends on how other manga fare and what new series we get within the next year. It'll really have to not pull its punches and cling on for dear life. Let's say it did manage to stay the full year though, we'll probably end up going through this underground tournament arc, do some more training and smaller things before getting into an even bigger one involving Asumi's brother, with it either finding its audience or shortly ending after a fight with the two of them. Sorry if I'm being a little pessimistic with this one. Icehead Gill is a manga I don't think is going to stick around much longer. Firstly, nobody can beat Gill when it comes to axes, a phrase that has already doomed the manga. Secondly, battle shonen adventure series like this haven't done well for a while. It's a little hit and miss, but from the backlog of axe battle shonen I've read, this feels like it's doing the same things as a lot of those axe manga, which is a shame because I really like Gill and the setting of the manga. After the current forest arc, I think we'll see one more final arc before ending with the next batch, which we'll probably see at the end of this year in November, December, or early next year in January. We'll likely get a quick final confrontation or a "our story continues" type of ending. These next three are brand new, so it's impossible to predict anything, but we're going to try just for fun. Firstly, Mama Yu Yu has a lot of potential and seems decently liked so far. I think we're still in its early introductory stages, and it'll set up a big bad soon maybe, with the following year seeing us learn a bit more about what's happening with the other heroes and demons invading the world, and us being in our first major arc by this time next year. Kagurabachi, the king of Shonen Jump, is probably here to stay based on the initial reception, and not just from the West, but the Japanese seem to like it an okay amount too. Although I think it would be hilarious if it got axed sometime after the first match of next year. If it survives though, which it most likely will, we'll see Chihiro learn more about the sorcerer group that stole the swords, as well as either fight a few of these sword wielders or retrieve some, maybe giving them to some side characters who join his cause. By this time next year, let's say we've completed a few arcs and got the first 2 swords, with us currently facing a very powerful opponent with the third one. 2 on Ice has had literally 1 chapter, and it was a really good one, but it's hard to tell how the series will fare in the future. Perhaps with the success of Medalist, other ice skating fans will come to like it. Jump has had similar series in the past too, like Straighten Up, Welcome to Shikahai's Competitive Dance Club, about a pair of characters in a dance club that saw moderate success. There was also an ice skating manga in 2005, written by Hikaru no Go author Yumi Hota. It wasn't very good though, with 2 on Ice having a much better first chapter. It's something I'd love to see stay and could theoretically replace Blue Box if that ended, so I think Jump should probably keep 2 on Ice in their back pocket at least. If it survives, I think we'll see it maybe in its first big competition arc after Hayuma has brushed up his skills and maybe done some grading or something like that. This is a manga I really want to stay in the magazine, and I hope to see it reach the 50 chapter mark by this time next year. Now, that's all the current Shonen Jump manga that are in the magazine right now, but we're not quite going to end here, as I'm going to make a couple of predictions for future manga. Firstly, I think we'll see the return of Date Tsunehiro and Kenji Ichima, the duo behind Time Paradox Ghostwriter, with a new series, as they published a one-shot in 2023 called Gorilla Shokudo. Not much behind this one, other than I think it's been a while since we've seen them, and I'd like to see their return. With their return, I think we'll see various newbie artists who've published one-shots in Jump, as there have been quite a lot in 2023. The other prediction is that we'll see the beginning of Koi no Yobi no Sasaki-san, or another manga by Shirakuma Shirosaki, the winner of 2022's Gold Future Cup, as they're entitled to run a series in the magazine. By 2024, I think they might have had enough time to polish their skills and concepts to bring something good to Jump, and I'm praying that this time we can break the Gold Future Cup curse. I also think in 2024 we'll get an answer on Ruri Dragon, with its unlikely return or it being moved or flat out cancelled, but I'm wishing the best for Masaoki Shindo and really hope Ruri can come back in some way. Now that we've gone through everything, let's just lay out what I think the magazine might look like in October of 2024. So, we still have One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen is still ongoing too, and then we have Undead Unluck in its final battle. Roboco is still here as well, and Sakamoto is steadily chugging along. Elusive Samurai is still there, as is Witch Watch. Akane-banashi is going strong, and Kill Blue has graduated from rookie status. Ideally, Nue's Exorcist isn't here, but unfortunately it is. And we'll say Asumi is still around, having found a boost of popularity. Then let's be funny and say 2 on Ice and Mama Yu survive, and Kagurabachi gets a swift axe somehow, giving us 13 series in the magazine. One of the missing series is Date and Ichima series, and the other is Sasaki-san, leaving us with 15 series. We then fill in the rest with 50 new series. I'd love that, but no. We then fill the rest with 5 new series from 2024 or late 2023, giving us a total of 20 manga, which is pretty standard for Jump. I think the biggest thing to take away from all of this is, like every year, Jump will change. It's in a constant state of perpetual change, but 2024 in particular, I think we'll see a lot of change. Just like in 2020, when big manga like Kimetsu no Yaiba, Promised Neverland, and Act Age all ended at once. It'll be sad to see these veteran series go, but it's also exciting. What's next for Jump? What series is going to be the next big hit? What trends will Jump dip into, and what mangaka will return? Veterans? Those who've had a few axes? Complete newcomers? It's so exciting and fun to theorize, so I hope you've had fun with this video and all the speculation, and I encourage you to give me your thoughts and speculation about anything to do with Jump. If you enjoyed, please subscribe and like the video. Share it too if you can, as that would help me a lot, and it would let me know that you like content like this and want to see more. If you're craving more Jump content though right now, there's plenty on my channel touching on the history of Shonen Jump throughout the 70s, to recent Axe manga reviews, and I even have a video on the curse of the Gold Future Cup. As always, thank you so much for watching, be kind to each other, and take care.